Now, if all you do is watch this channel, which, if I may say so, sounds like a wonderful life. I hope you're having a great time. But if all you do is watch this channel, then all you know about the Olympics is that there was chaos in the game between Argentina and Morocco, and there was chaos all around the Canadian women's national team when it had to do with the Canadian Air Force and drone pilots and all these sorts of things. They've been deducted 6 points, by the way, which they have erased with 2 wins in the group, which their group looks so funny now. You pull up a group table like that, this is just ridiculous. Everybody's played 2 matches. We have 2 teams with 3 points and 2 teams with 0 points. At least the women's side's a lot of fun. If for whatever reason you didn't know, the men's part of the Olympic tournament is just kind of sucks. Nobody really cares about it. It can be exciting every once in a while, like the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, the 2016 Olympics in Brazil. Those were really dramatic. Neymar was playing, but it's an under 23 tournament with 3 overage players. A lot of players like Mbappe, they don't get released by their clubs, even though they want to go to the Olympics. And so it's just kind of a hodgepodge, smashed together team that's not even a proper youth team, because there's weird overage players like Walker Zimmerman for the United States is back there just rolling the ball out with a bunch of 21, 22-year-olds. So the men's side is a push. It can produce some fun games, and I'm sure at some point we're going to talk about something other than just straight chaos going on the men's side. But the real fun part of the tournament is the women's side, because they're full national teams. It is like World Cup Part 2. The Olympics is just a much bigger part of the women's footballing calendar than it is of the men's calendar. You have all the best players in the world on the women's side going toe-to-toe, and it's a huge deal in the United States, obviously, as well, because our women's team's a lot better than our men's, and that's just kind of always been that way. And so we root for the women's side and so on and so forth. But even though the United States did win 4-1, this video is obviously not about that. If you're paying any attention at all to the Olympic football tournament, you will know that there was one game that had a score line that just absolutely demands that we make a video about it. I say we, it's just me in a room in the middle of the night by myself, that I make a video about it, because this match between Australia and Zambia was utter nonsense. I can't tell you any other time I've ever seen this score. Just follow along with me in the Olympic Games women's section on my flash score here. Brazil and Japan, that was a hell of a match, by the way, if you didn't happen to catch that. Japan with 2 stoppage time goals to win. Colombia with the win. Oh yeah, Australia beat Zambia 6-5. Okay, then Spain, and then Canada with the win over France. That was the last second win. And then the United States. Yeah, what jumps out to you? A 6-5 score. I thought I'd accidentally put on the rugby the first time that I saw that score pop up on the NBC Gold Zone. And if you have 10 minutes of your day, and you really want to be enthralled, engaged, and horrified and intrigued all at the same time, watch the extended highlights from this match, because it was one of the most chaotic, shitty works of art I think I've ever seen. And it started unbelievably, because Zambia took the lead on a goal from their captain, Barba Banda, that is just top tier. Check this out. If Christian Pulisic did that, I wouldn't shut up about it for weeks. And if you're thinking, why is Zambia even at the Olympics in the women's game, and they must be the type of team that's going to show up and get blown out by everybody, you kind of be wrong. Zambia not only features the most expensive player in women's history, who is not the person that just scored that goal. Zambia is also in with an argument for being the best team on the continent of Africa. They went to the last World Cup. They went to the last Olympics. They managed to get a win at the last World Cup over Costa Rica. And they're just generally way more competitive than their men's team. Also, according to their Wikipedia, and I'm only sharing this just specifically because I think it's cool, they were the first country, the first landlocked nation in Africa to qualify for Senior World Cup in either gender. Apparently, every other World Cup qualifier from Africa ever has had a beach. Zambia managed to do it without a beach, which is apparently impossible until Zambia did it. But my whole point is that Zambia is not the pushover the name would suggest. And even though Australia went into this match as a favorite, it's not like Zambia's going to be overawed by the big occasion or be short on talent, at least at particular positions on the field. The problem is that goal 40 seconds in didn't really do much for them, because Australia responded, scoring in the 7th minute. But then Zambia responded with a goal from Kudananji in the 21st. Now, Kudananji is the most expensive women's player in the history of ever right now. She was purchased by Bay FC for $650,000 this past year, which is the highest transfer fee ever recorded in women's football. So it was a really nice goal. She accelerated away from the defense, carried the ball well, passed it into the bottom corner. Really textbook stuff. But it's after these first 3 goals that the pure, unadulterated, like mainline chaos started to strike this game. It was like somebody had opened up Pandora's box and just let all the nonsense flow out direct, like they had a funnel just right into this one game. Because Zambia's 3rd goal to take a 3-1 lead in this match was the goalkeeper for Australia charging out to punch the ball away, only for it to then be collected by Barbara Banda, who scored the 1st goal, who then lashed it behind the goalkeeper through 3 defenders and somehow into the back of the net, to which Australia managed to respond again only 2 minutes later. Now, Australia did it with something I would consider a classic in the women's game, the sort of set piece where you literally put every single person around the goalkeeper, because the women's goalkeepers can't, dictate the aerial part of the game as well as on the men's side. This is very effective. If you watch a lot of women's football, you'll see them try to crowd the goalkeeper all the time. Goalkeeper can't quite get to the ball, headed home at the back post, 3-2. And then we get to right before the half, where Barbara Banda scores again, except this one is her masterpiece. To finish off a first half hat trick, she gets in the way of an attempted clearance by an Australian player and a scramble after a set piece, and it just deflects into the side netting. Just pure, unstoppable shithousery from Barbara Banda. But look, she's somebody that actually is unbelievably good at scoring in these situations, so maybe we shouldn't be surprised. And that gives us a 4-2 scoreline before the half. And I know what you're thinking. Australia probably just immediately responds again, but no. Actually, Zambia opens up a 5-2 lead in the 56th minute. It's Kudananji with her 2nd goal on a pretty nicely played set piece. Just one of those, off the corner of the box. It's played in. Kudananji with able to get kind of a nice glancing header on it, and it goes into the back of the net, and it looks like Zambia is actually going to blow out Australia. Australia makes 3 changes right after the goal. You can tell that they're scratching around for something. But this is when things get truly, truly awful for Zambia. I mean, catastrophically bad. I'm talking Loris Karius type meltdown from the goalkeeper alone, right? But the rest of the team as well. It looked like Zambia forgot how to play, which is amazing considering Zambia was literally winning 5-2 with 34 minutes left? You play some dark arts or something. There's no way you can end up with 0 points from that situation. You would have to concede 4 goals, but a minute after the substitution, it starts. You see, right after all these substitutions happen, there's like a scramble on the goal mouth, and one of the players for Australia just desperately tries to get anything on a back heel headed towards the goal. A defender is able to get to it before the goal line and try to clear it away, but clears it off of the back of the Zambian goalkeeper and into the goal to make it 5-3. This starts this kind of meltdown situation. Then Zambia's passing the ball around the back 2 minutes later and gives it away, at which point the goalkeeper just kind of collides with one of the Australian players, and the ball ends up in the back of the net to make it 5-4 in just the 60th minute. Now remember, it was 5-2 in the 56th minute. But then they go look at that play on VAR, and they determine that the Zambian goalkeeper was fouled. And I'll be honest, she was fouled. It looked like a foul. So you think that Zambia's gotten this reprieve. It's a huge momentum killer for Australia. We go back to 5-3. It's 62nd, 63rd minute of the match. Zambia's comfortably up with a 2-goal lead. And then Australia gets a free kick. And this is where the Loris Karius really comes into full focus. Here you go. Oh. I mean, look, as a former goalkeeper, it's just painful to watch. And in a match that's 5-3 and Australia's looking for anything to light the spark here after the spark has been extinguished by a disallowed goal that was, maybe a little on the fence. It's just a horrifically painful mistake to make. It's right at her. She just should catch it in the same way that you're watching Karius miss the ball and it go in the back of the net. There's no logical explanation for somebody who has been able to make it onto this stage for not being able to make that save. And it makes the match 5-4, at which point you just know 5-5 is coming. And eventually it's a foul in the box that goes to VAR. It was a foul, and the penalty is converted, even though the keeper went the right way. It's a really good penalty by Kate Lee, and it's 5-5 in the 78th minute. And it takes until the 90th minute for Australia to score the winner. But Zambia, I'm going to be honest, when Heyman was breaking through to score this goal and break the deadlock and give Australia 4 goals in the final 34 minutes of the match, Zambia just looked beaten. They were so tired. It's so physically and emotionally exhausted. Heyman was just able to separate and able to score. She was one of the substitutes. The legs were fresher. And yeah, it was almost heartbreaking to watch. I mean, any match that ends up being 6-5 where a team blows a lead like that. Australia, as you were watching the match, you could tell they couldn't believe that they were actually going to win this. Like they were dumbfounded by the fact that they had actually jumped into the lead of this match. They had no idea what was going on. And then, of course, it was almost taken away again. In the 97th minute, Kudananji, who already had 2 goals in this game, just skins the Australian defense, tries to rip it near post from a pretty tight angle, and the Australian keeper makes a really sharp kick save to keep it 6-5. And at the final whistle, I mean, it looked like the Zambian team had lost the World Cup final. The entire team just dropped to their knees. The entire Australian team was running around celebrating, and it's proof that Olympic football is not all bad. Was this the most beautiful match ever played? No. Half the goals would be considered somewhere between a car crash and a train wreck. We had a beautiful goal to start the game, and then Zambia stricken by one of the worst mistakes a goalkeeper that can make, just missing a catch and a ball right at them. I mean, it was the full spectrum of the beautiful game, but it was indeed the beautiful game, unless you are in fact from the first ever landlocked country to make it out of Africa into a World Cup of either gender, in which case this was probably an incredibly depressing sight. And they did show some Zambian fans in the stands that were in the Surrender Cobra, and I can't blame them. I can't imagine a much worse beat than this. They look like they finally had their big-time Staples statement win behind this incredibly talented generation that has boosted them to relevance. They're over 40 rankings higher in the world rankings than they were when they were at the Tokyo Olympics just 3 years ago. But it still hasn't turned into a big win. They lost to the U.S., and now they've lost to Australia in one of the wildest international matches you will see in a very long time. So shout out to them for providing some truly A-grade entertainment. Commiserations for Zambia. Congratulations, Australia. I have no idea how you just won that match.